Hi knitting friends, my name is Maggie, also known as the Knitty Bean, and this is the Beanscast. Alright, so let's get into it. I have only one finished object for you guys this episode and quite a few works in progress. A lot of them haven't changed, so I'm only going to be bringing up the ones that I have been actively working on these last 2 weeks and what I'm aiming to finish this month. So let's move on to our finished objects. So for my only finished object this month is the Not Enough Knitting cable knit scarf. It is completely finished. She is blocked. She is very long. And I will not be using this for like 4 months at least. It is sweltering today. I am really glad that I found a way to be able to use my desk fan while I'm recording so that I don't melt into a giant puddle. So that scarf is going to go right into the closet and not come out until at least the fall. So I am glad to have that off of my needles, though. It's been on for about 4 months, and it was a ton of fun to knit. I really enjoyed it. I loved seeing the way that all of the different clues came together, how all of the cables looked in each different clue. It was a lot of fun to knit and to put together some of the scrap yarn that I've got. I do still unfortunately have a lot of scrap yarn left, so something else is going to have to come up to use those up. But that is all for my finished objects. It is just the one. Whoops, there goes my meds. That is all for my finished objects. It was just the one. I am working on quite a few things, so I guess let's get into our works in progress. I have 4 works in progress that I want to bring up and talk about a little bit. The first is the Ambry Blanket for the Expression Fiber Arts Read It and Whip knit along. The knit along does end in 12 days, June 24th, as of today's recording. So I do want to try and get this finished by then. I have just finished the 4th row repeat of the triangles. So I'm about a third of the way through. There are about 11 total triangle rows. I'm probably just going to go until I either run out of yarn or I figure it's long enough. So I've got about 12 days to work this up. I haven't worked on a fingering blanket before, so it is a little slow going, though it is worked up on 5.5 needles, I believe. 5 millimeter needles, or US 8s. So it is a rather large needle for the yarn weight, which is a fingering sock weight yarn. But I am still having a ton of fun working this up. I get to listen to the audiobook, Air by Sabata here, while I am working on it. So it's nice to have something to listen to that's dedicated to a project. But that is all that I've got for this one. I am dealing with quite a bit of yarn barf from the ball because this just does not want to cooperate. So it's hoping I don't have to cut the ball again like I did last time. I had to cut it 2 separate times just to get it completely untangled. It's a hot mess. I am not a fan of that. My second work in progress is the Carmen Cardigan by Audrey Borrego. I have gotten not too much done. I have split for sleeves, I believe, since you last saw it. And I've worked on about, this was my progress tracker, so really only about an inch or 2 of stockinette worked on it. I am aiming to have this done before September, so I have plenty of time to finish this. I'm not stressing out too much, though of course the sooner I can get through it and the sooner I can get to the next project on my needles. I am having a ton of fun working on this. I do really love the yarn. It is Plymouth Yarn DK Superwash Merino. It is soft and the color is in, this blue is Lake Blue Heather. It is absolutely gorgeous. I'm loving it so far. I've been carrying it with me when I go to knit nights or when I go to crafting happy hours in my area. So it's just something fun and easy to knit on while I'm talking to other people, or if I am at D&D and I don't have to be the dungeon master and I'm a player, so I can listen in onto the session and play and have something to do with my hands while we're all goofing around or, murder hoboing bandits or whatever we're doing on that particular session. Okay, let's see. The next project I want to talk about, this one is probably going to be a very fast episode. I am zooming through this, my goodness. But last episode, I mentioned that I had bought some DK weight yarn from Michael's when I had stopped in last, and I had wanted to do some sort of tank or tee with it. And I have cast on for that since then. I have cast on the Liserne Tee. No, it's not a tee. It's a tank top. The Liserne tank top by Audrey Borrego. I'm just loving all of Audrey's patterns, but this is what I've got so far. It's got this twisted rib shoulder detail, and I have started to work on the body. I have fully joined them in the round because these shoulders are worked separately before joining them in together, and I have done about 5 increases out of a total 15 that the pattern calls for. I am almost done with this ball of yarn, so I'll be switching over to the next ball, and I'll be very surprised if I even touch the third ball of yarn, because I did buy 3 total balls of the Lion Brand DK Super Squishy, I think it's called. I'll fix it later, I guess. I'll figure it out. I am a little worried that this, because it is acrylic, it is still going to be a little heavy for summer wear. I kind of wish I did go with a cotton or a linen blend, but this was also mostly just I really wanted to cast on a t-shirt pattern, and I have. So I am working through this. I should hopefully be done with it before the end of the month so I can get some wear out of it in July and August. It has been absolutely horrible in terms of heat the last couple of days here. Even with the air on, we can't get the house to fall below 80. It is so hot, and I am absolutely melting every time I do anything. But I am hoping to have that done soon enough, and I'll be able to hopefully wear that next episode. And moving on to my 4th and final work in progress that I want to showcase. I do still have the blanket, I do still have the purpur shawl, and I do still have my step-by-step sweater that I'm knitting for my partner, but I haven't made a lot of progress on any of those projects since the last episode. I've mostly been focusing on these 4 projects so far. But I have finally cast on the next sock in my Christmas sock adventure. I am knitting the Raindrops on Roses sock by Charlotte Stone. I have finished the leg and the heel last night. This was about 6 or 7 hours worth of knitting. I really like the pattern. It really comes up so quick and easy. It's a great pattern. I love the color work. I just have the foot and the toe left to work on, and this will be the first finished sock that I'll get to work on the second one. I really want to try and see how quickly I can make it through the socks, because I did do a count and I have to make 34 pairs of socks for Christmas. So I have quite a bit of those to work through. This will come up in my knitting cues section, but I do have quite a few that I'm working on next. The bright side to that is that I do already have all of the yarn, so I don't really have to go and shop for anything unless the plan changes. This sock I'm knitting this in the second size, so the 64 stitch cast on, the size medium. I am knitting this with the Knit Pick Stroll Tonal Heartfelt. That's this main color in the red, and the contrast color is Knit Pick Stroll in Horchata, which is a slightly warmer off-white color. I think it looks fantastic. I did debate for a while whether I should make the horchata the main color, just because this is going to be a gift knit for my mom, and she does prefer more understated clothes. So I feel like she would have much more liked the horchata main color with the tonal contrast color. But I kind of figure these aren't really going to be wearing out socks. They're going to be around the house on cozy evening socks. So hopefully she'll still get some use and some joy out of them. I really hope that I can finish off this sock either in the next day or two, or sooner. I would really like to be able to kind of get these socks done within a week's time so that I could have some sort of hope of finishing these by Christmas. It's gonna be really close, and I'm a little nervous about whether or not I'll actually finish getting them all in by then, but we will see. Moving on to acquisitions. The only acquisition of note that I want to bring up in this episode is a tote bag that I had purchased from Knit Picks when it was on sale last month. I had picked it up at the same time that I had picked up the next color for my purpur shawl, which has been worked into the shawl, so I don't have it with me anymore so that I could show it to you. But I do have the tote bag, which is the everyday tote bag in Carrot from Knit Picks. It is this great sort of orangey brown color. It's got this little you can kind of see it on the camera, this little like skein detailing on the front. It's real cute, and it is massive. This is currently holding, I don't know if you can really see in here, but it is currently holding all of the yarn, which at this point is about 8 balls of the Plymouth DK yarn for my Carmen cardigan, and there is room to spare. I could fit a whole second sweater in there. There is so much room in there. I think it's going to become like, I initially bought it because I wanted to use it as like my bag to take to work, because it would have plenty of space for whatever work things I need to bring with me, as well as my knitting. But I haven't found a job yet, so hopefully it'll still find some use in the future. But it is a massive bag, so it's got plenty of space. I do use it when I go out to knit nights. It is a very great bag. I highly recommend it. It was on sale for about $20-something on Knit Picks last month. I'm not entirely sure if it still is on sale. I believe they were on clearance when I was last checking them out, but I love it. It's a great faux leather bag. 100% recommend, love it so much. Moving on to my knitting queue. So for my knitting queue, I've got mostly socks on the docket. As I mentioned before, I've got 34 pairs of socks to finish for Christmas. So I'm trying to work through those as quickly as I possibly can. My next 2 socks that I have planned to work on next, I am planning on doing a doodle sock from Pacific Knit Co.'s Doodle series, which is a bunch of colorwork motifs that you can plug and play onto cowls or sweaters or socks or whatever. They have a whole bunch of like base patterns on their website. You can also use it on just about anything. I am planning on doing one for my dad with motifs from the Portland set, mostly because I think he would really enjoy getting a pair of socks with some beers on it. That's just something I think that he would find hilarious. Maybe a mountain too. He does like to hike. So I'm planning on putting together a custom little doodle motif. The doodles tend to come with a little doodle planner on each of the PDFs. So you'll have a large square grid where you can plan out your different doodles one after the other, so you can see what they would look like on the chart. And you can use any kind of yarn or needles or pattern that you want to do just to kind of make it customizable. I found the doodles about 2 or 3 months ago, and I was initially looking for some kind of donut pattern so I could make a little donut headband or sweater or something for a friend of mine who works in a donut shop. But I had so much trouble finding a pre-written pattern, but I stumbled across Pacific Knit Co.'s actually the Portland doodles. They've got the donut in there. And I had just been absolutely ecstatic because there are so many different kinds of doodles. You've got animals, you've got flowers, you've got themed, like city themed doodles. There's so many, just a wide variety of doodles. And it really allows you to kind of explore a creativeness that you might not be able to on a lot of patterns unless you pick up like a plug and play pattern. I'm thinking specifically of the Strange Brew book from Tin Can Knits, which gives you a bunch of base patterns for sweaters and garments and other knitted accessories, as well as a few ideas for stranded or Fair Isle knitting, and you kind of make your own designs out of those. It's not as common as one might expect, but there is a lot of creativity, I think, with it that you don't get to explore otherwise. So I'm planning on putting together quite a few doodles to make into the socks, and I think either they'll be mostly around the ankles or the legs, and the feet will be either some sort of ribbing or other kind of pattern. I haven't decided yet. Those are sort of the socks that I will be kind of making as I go along. I don't have a specific plan. But that is for my dad. It's going to be mostly green with some gold and black accents for the beers and the mountains. I am also planning on making the Vitamin C socks by Charlotte Stone for my sister, mostly because for some reason I always, when I think of my sister, I think of the color orange, and I think that something tropical and bright like that would be great for her. I don't know, it's just the first thing that I think of when I think of my sister. And I have a few orange tonal yarns that I am going to be using as the main color, with some white and greens for the accent colors on the oranges. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to maintain the orange pattern down the foot. I might change it to some stripes. I haven't done a striped sock yet, so we will see when I get to that. That's another one of those I'll probably change my mind when I actually get to knitting them. But the plan sort of is for the family and friends socks. I have fruit-based socks for my cousins. I have flower patterns for my aunts. I have general color work or gradient patterns for my uncles. A lot of my friends are getting doodle socks with the motifs specifically chosen for them. So like I have a friend who loves corgis, so she's going to get corgis on her socks. Also another doodle pattern from the London doodle set. I have a friend who loves foxes, so she's getting a fox pattern, I believe from Charlotte Stone. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I think it's like Fox in the Woods or Foxtrot. I can't remember. But I'm trying to tailor different things to different people. And I mentioned this a little bit in my last episode, but anyone who's in one of my D&D groups will get socks that are inspired by their characters. So chickens for the socks in the party for my one homebrew campaign, and character-specific socks for my Eve of Ruin Vecna campaign. They're all going to get either some sort of sock that is reminiscent of their character or something else that I know that they as a person like. And I'm really looking forward to doing it. I just had so much fun coming up with all of the different ideas that I'm going to be doing for these. So I'm excited to see them all happen, if they happen in time, because I'm very quickly running out of time. I should have started this like 3 months ago, but I spent so long fighting with the chicken sock that I didn't get a chance to really get started on these, even though I've had the yarn for about a month and a half now. But I will be getting to those soon. I'm hoping to finish the Raindrops on Roses sock within the next couple of days. And hopefully I will have more to show next time. Gosh, this really is a short episode, huh? Moving on to my currently reading. I did finish Mockingjay a couple nights ago. I still loved it as much as I did. I'm realizing that it's been a while since I read it. I haven't read it since high school or early college when they were first coming out. And I'm realizing just how much I missed in the books the first time around. So really reading through with this new lens of someone who is twice as old, who has experienced twice as much, who has lived through the times that we are currently living in, and seeing the message that Suzanne Collins is really trying to hone in on. And I remember being upset with Mockingjay the first time I read it because they ended up having kids at the end. Spoilers for a 15-year-old book. But I remember being very upset about the choice for Katniss and Peeta to have kids. I am less so now because I see it as their character journey kind of concluding, right? It's their character arc, and I'm trying to sort of think of it less as an imposition of my own ideals on the characters and the story, and more of what is the story that Suzanne is trying to tell, and what message is she trying to hone in on. But anyway, I finished it. The scene that I was thinking about, the Finnick scene that I was talking about last time, did hit just as hard as the first time I read it. And it was still devastating. Absolutely still devastating. I'm still working on Infinity Alchemist by Case and Calendar, as well as Air by Sabata here. I still have And They Were Roommates on the docket. I do still have that in my Libby, but I haven't touched it yet. I wanted to finish Infinity Alchemist first, and I haven't done that. I still have like a third of the book left. Maybe less, maybe more. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I have a lot left still to cover, and my loan is running out, unfortunately. So I need to get on that or return it and put it back on hold, because I already know that there are people waiting for it. But I don't really have any other books that I've been working on. I've mostly just been listening to podcasts as I've been knitting. I've been listening to specifically the a.k.a. podcast, to Table 10, which I mentioned last time. They're doing a stash bust along, sort of make along for the summer. I am also watching Mothfolk Studio and Danish Musings. While I'm knitting, I'm just sort of alternating between what vibe I'm looking for the most. But that is about it, I think. This has been, especially compared to last episode, a pretty short episode. I don't have much to talk about. I didn't have a lot of updates in terms of my finished objects or my works in progress. I've made some progress on multiple works in progress, but I don't feel like there was enough where I could really kind of dive into it. I guess I could have slowed down a little bit and talked some more about it, but it is hot. I want to stop recording so I can go and put my hair up and melt in peace. But that is all for today's episode of the Beanscast. Hopefully by next time I will have a few more finished objects for you. We'll be able to go over those together. Hopefully the blanket and the tank top will be done. I am hosting my family. My parents and my sister are coming to visit us at the end of the month. I don't know how much I'll have done by then, but hopefully I will be able to have something to show at the end of that weekend. But we're going to be hiking, we're going to be hanging out. It's going to be a very nice weekend with my folks. So we'll see how much I can get done by then. I will have to hide whatever socks I'm working on so that they don't get they don't catch sight of them before Christmas. But we will see what happens. Thank you for joining me today, knitting friends. I am happy that you're here. And I hope that you were able to find some comfort in this slightly shorter podcast episode, but still got some work done on your own knitting projects. Thank you for joining me. This has been the Beanscast, and I'll see you next time.